Pour yourself a drink. You're going to need it for this one. In my line of work, you see a lot of monsters. Usually, they hide in the dark alleys. But the worst ones, they wear expensive suits, smile at you from the front page of the newspaper, and think the law doesn't apply to them. I want to tell you about the case of Anne Marie Fahey, a perfect secretary who vanished into thin air. No body, no weapon, just a room full of secrets, and a powerful man who thought he could buy his way out of hell. Listen closely. Anne Marie Fahey was not a person who broke promises. In the high-stakes world of Delaware politics, where she worked as the governor's secretary, her reliability was her trademark. If Anne said she'd be there, she was there. But on June 29th, 1996, for the first time in her life, she didn't show up. Her family waited at a restaurant in Wilmington, watching the door. The minutes turned into hours. No phone call, no explanation. When they reached out to her partner, Michael, the dread intensified. He hadn't seen her for 2 days. When the police finally entered her apartment, the scene was a psychological puzzle. Anne Marie was a perfectionist, a woman who kept her shoes in their original boxes and never left a single dish in the sink. But now, her kitchen was a graveyard of rotting groceries. Bags of fruit were decaying on the counter, emitting a sickening stench. In the bedroom, chaos reigned. An unmade bed, clothes strewn across chairs, and her purse, containing her ID and cash, left behind. It looked like a life interrupted mid-sentence. Then they found the diary. Hidden among her belongings were entries that revealed a double life. Anne Marie had been trapped in a secret 3-year affair with a man she called Thomas, a man with a wife, 4 children, and a terrifying level of influence. His name was Thomas Capano, a former state prosecutor, a man who looked like a pillar of society, but behind closed doors, he was a predator. Their relationship wasn't a romance. It was a cage. Capano was obsessive. He would show up unannounced with wine and food, forcing her to cancel plans with friends. He called her white trash during his fits of rage. He wanted to own her. And when Anne Marie finally found the courage to fall in love with someone else, someone her own age, Thomas Capano decided that if he couldn't have her, no one would. The investigation quickly hit a wall. Thomas Capano was a former prosecutor. He knew the law, and he knew how to hide his tracks. When police searched his house, they found he had recently bought a new rug and replaced the flooring in his living room. It was a professional cleanup. But he made one microscopic mistake. A single, tiny drop of blood, found glowing under UV light on the baseboard. The DNA matched Anne Marie. Still, there was a problem. Without a body, the FBI couldn't easily prove murder. They needed a witness. They turned their attention to Thomas's family. The Capanos were a wealthy, tight-knit clan, operating almost like a mafia family. But loyalty has its limits when facing life in prison. Under immense pressure, Thomas's brother, Jerry, finally cracked. His confession painted a picture of pure nightmare. He told the police that on the night of the murder, Thomas asked to borrow his fishing boat. Thomas arrived carrying a heavy, large white cooler. They took the boat out into the dark, turbulent Atlantic Ocean. Thomas wrapped the cooler in heavy chains and pushed it overboard. but the cooler wouldn't sink. In a panic, Thomas grabbed a rifle and shot the plastic box, hoping to let the water in. Still, it floated. Finally, the powerful lawyer was forced to do the unthinkable: open it, weigh the body down with anchors, and let the dark ocean swallow his secret. He thought he had committed the perfect crime. But the ocean always returns what is hidden. Days later, an old fisherman spotted a white cooler drifting at sea. It was empty, but it had a bullet hole and a missing handle, matching the exact cooler Thomas had bought days before the murder. It was the missing puzzle piece. Thomas Capano, the untouchable millionaire, was brought down by his own arrogance and a piece of floating plastic. He was convicted of murder, becoming a rare case where justice was served without a corpse. A monster, finally locked in a cage.